Hi friends, it's Kelly and welcome to my Meet the Artist Q&A. I've been promising this for a really long time and it's finally here. I want to give a caveat that this is not my home library, so any books you see behind here are not ones I own or know anything about. So please don't make any judgments based off of that. But this is a room that I know of that has great lighting, so here we are. So first off, thank you so much for being a subscriber. I hope you're a subscriber. If you're not, go ahead and fix that right now. But we just have a lot of new people on the channel and I want to introduce myself and give you a little bit of information about me. And so yes, my name is Kelly and I'm an illustrator based in the Twin Cities area, and that's in Minnesota, the USA, if you don't know. And I do a lot of digital work as well as ink, traditional ink. So kind of a mix. I would say my biggest category of commissions are usually character commissions, either for podcasts or like D&D groups, or I will do family portraits and that sort of thing, usually in a cartoony style, as people like to say. And that's kind of the basics of me. But let's go into a few questions that are general questions I get a lot, as well as all of the questions you guys asked me as well. If I don't answer any questions that you have, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below and I will give you a little reply back. Okay, so number one is the one I think every artist will get, and that's how long have I been an artist? So like most artists, I have been drawing since I was very young, but I haven't really focused and studied art until maybe a decade ago when I was in college. I always loved to create things, but I didn't take it more seriously until I kind of was at this point, like, I really want to be better at this. Like, what I wanted to create was not where my level was, and I wanted to get there. So yeah, I really kind of doubled down and tried to focus more on the basics and the fundamentals. Which kind of leads to number two, which is, did I go to school for art? No. Even though I was in college when I started to focus on my artistic skills seriously, I was not taking any classes. I wasn't taking any formal training in art. I was just personally focusing more on that with the free time that I had, which was very little in school. I actually studied English literature and theater arts, both very creative things, but I only ever took one drawing class in high school, and that was the first intro to drawing class, and I really enjoyed it, and it gave me some basics, but mostly it really emphasized my appreciation for art, and I really wish I would have taken more art classes. But also, like, I've been learning just fine on my own through YouTube and through friends. So, you know, not everyone needs to go to school for art, but I'm sure it's super helpful. Number three, what are your favorite art supplies? I love pocket sketchbooks, like the Moleskine, smallest you can get sketchbook. That is my favorite because I like to be able to have something in my pocket at all times or in my bag, and I can just whip it out and use any old pen and draw what I see. And I really like those ones too because sometimes a big sketchbook makes me really intimidated. That I have to fill this whole big space, and with the small ones, like, I can focus on one small idea at a time. I'm not someone who works that much with just regular sheets of paper or canvases because I like to have art that I can flip through and look back on. And usually I'm not selling my own pieces. I kind of keep those as a journal for myself. So the only time I'm using actual paper is when I'm creating a gift for someone or creating a commission. But most of my commissions go digitally instead of traditionally. And for digital, I draw on my iPad Pro using Procreate, and that leads to question number 4. What brushes do you use? This is the question that digital artists get the most, and I'm happy to answer it for you. Just know that everyone uses different brushes. You just need to experiment and find what you enjoy. And also, the quality of art has absolutely zero correlation with what brush you use. So if you are working hard to become a better artist, you'll be able to make good things. The brush you use does not equate to how good of an artist you are. Just know that. But I use a personally modified version of the Jasinski ink brush as my line art most of the time. And then I also love the dry ink brush for either sketching or sometimes a more textured coloring. But other than that, I don't use much. I think I edited my own sketch marker as well. That's a really, really basic marker that doesn't really have much going on with it. That's it. That's what I use. Let me know what you use. Number 5 is everybody's favorite question. How did you develop your art style? Great question, great question. It's one artists have been struggling to answer for years because quite honestly, I don't know. It's a correlation of your entire learning journey through art. It's like your handwriting. You can't force it. It just happens. It's always going to just be a piece of you. This question could be its own video, and let me know if you want me to do that. But finding your style is also a question that you shouldn't be asking. At least most people shouldn't be asking. I think it's worth thinking about sometimes, and at some point in your artistic journey, you might want to specifically hone in on something. But for most artists, we can work with different styles. I feel like my art can be very, very different depending on the client or depending on the tone. So especially depending on the medium, right? Like it's always changing. So you don't have to pick one style, and I think you are more versatile as an artist if you can pick different styles. I also think that if you're just starting out or you're more of a beginner artist, don't worry about your style at all. If you're earlier in your journey, focus on experimentation. Be free to try a ton of different mediums, try a bunch of different subjects, try everything, because eventually you will start to zone in on the mediums that you like to use, and that will help direct what your style is. And you'll also start to hone in on why you're making art or what your art is for, and that can help tell you what your style is like as well. So all of that to say, I definitely would say my artistic style comes from all of the different artists that I like, from drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing so much for 10 years. And the fact that a lot of my learning was in digital, and I think that just has worked its way into all of my art in a way. Speaking of artists that inspire me, there are quite a lot of them, and I can't list them all, but I will give you a little slideshow of a few different artists that I like and where to follow them. Number 7 is, what is your favorite part of the drawing process? For me, it's always been line art. I love line art so much. I like sketching something out, figuring how it looks, but the best, most satisfying part to me is when you've already got the sketch and you know what it's supposed to look like, and then you just go in with the line art and you're super detailed and it's just smooth and looks amazing, and you don't have to think quite as much because the structure is already there in your sketch. And then, I don't know, it's so good. And then if I'm not even using like a sketch, like traditionally I wouldn't, for example, traditionally when I'm using ink, I don't always use a sketch. Most of the time I don't, but in digital, I always use a sketch. So if I'm in traditional and I just have a pen and I'm just boom on the paper, like it just feels really satisfying. I don't know, there's something about it. I just can't explain it. I like the line art. Number 8, what is your least favorite part of the drawing process? Easy, it's color. This is why I'm not a painter. I don't understand color. I love color. I love to look at color and I try to understand it. And that's something I'm really working on because I don't have a very foundational understanding about it. And maybe that comes from, I don't have schooling on this, but also it's just never been something I'm super excited about. I don't know what to say here. Color is hard and I don't love doing it. I don't love coloring my digital stuff. I don't love painting. Like, I would rather have strict lines and not worry about values. That's all. Number 9, what do you listen to or watch while you draw? I cannot watch things when I am drawing. No. I might be able to put on a YouTube video that I can just kind of listen to in the background, but I cannot watch anything else because I will get sucked into the TV show and not be able to do anything. I cannot multitask. Absolutely not. What I will do is listen to music and listen to podcasts. That's probably what I do the most. And here are a few podcasts that I enjoy. And here's some music that I like. Number 10, what is your favorite thing to draw? People. It's always been people. I love to draw people and characters doing interesting things, wearing cute clothes. I love it. Ever since I was little, it's always the fairies and the princesses. I was drawing people. And I like to people watch. I like to draw people in a cafe. I like to draw my favorite characters. I love drawing people. I love their emotions. I love their body language and just I just like to draw people interacting and people doing normal people things. I don't know, people. So those are the 10 questions I get the most as an artist, but I also wanted to answer some questions from you. And so let's start out with Chantel Arts. Chantel Arts asks, how did you find Inktober? Was it difficult and are you glad it's over? Inktober is always a lot of fun. Please go back and watch my entire playlist of Inktober this year. It was awesome. I do love challenging myself in that way, drawing every single day. And this Inktober was an extra challenge because I was releasing a YouTube video every day. And I thought it was great. It was just that right bit of challenge for me to really push myself. But you know, it wasn't too overwhelming that I couldn't achieve it. I would say I am kind of glad it's over. I think I always am glad that Inktober is over because it is a lot of work and it is really hard to be drawing and getting a video out every single day. It is a challenge and it is a little difficult. But that's what a challenge usually is, and it's why I enjoy it. So yeah, I'm glad that I can take a little bit more time with my videos now. But yeah, it was fun. Shiny Ray Draws asks, what made you start a YouTube channel? That's a really good question. So I have been making content for over 5 years, but in a different sphere. I hosted and produced a successful animation and anime podcast called Fanimated, and I will link that down below. And it was time for that show to end, but I still love making things. And so I wanted to create content in a different way. And I decided, well, the other thing I'm super passionate about is art and drawing and creating art. So here I am, and I of course love, making podcasts, but it's been really fun to experiment with video and to be able to share my love for art and creativity and all of that as well. And lastly, HC Animation asked a lot of really good questions, but I'll just answer two. One of which is, how do you balance your time with life stuff and art stuff? And I think that's a really good question. I think for anybody with any sort of hobby or interest, and for me, it has fluctuated a lot over the years. I do make a little bit of money off of my art, but ultimately it's all about focusing on your values. So decide what your values are in life. Obviously creativity is part of that for me, but higher on the rung is time spent with family, for example, or my health. And so I focus on those values over my creative values, but I still don't completely deplete myself of creativity. I think it's a little easier because again, like I said, I was doing a podcast for 5 years and I learned how to balance that. And so I kind of already have this time set into my schedule, into my normal life where I want to be creating things and making things. And it depends on the season too. Like some seasons are just busier in my life, and some seasons are busier with art. And it's about balance and knowing, when I want to focus on art and when I need to take a break from art. HC Animation also asked this really good question. Have you ever been shy or scared to show other people your artwork? Yes, always, all the time, even though I'm on YouTube now and I'm sharing it to lots of people that I don't know. I think that's a really common thread through most artists that I know. And I think it just comes with practice, like just starting to post things online or just showing your friends or people who you trust, because I do think it's hard. Like artwork is such a deep personal part of ourselves that we're putting onto this piece of art. And so to show other people can be really scary at times. And I think it's just about understanding like how much of value you're gonna take from other people's opinions, because ultimately their opinions on your piece doesn't matter. It's what you think and how the piece helped you and helped inspire you, and other people, might not be able to absorb it the same way that you intended, and that's okay, right? Like I'm in front of all these books. Some of these books will, hit you as a reader more than others, but for someone else, maybe the ones that you didn't like will be perfect for them, right? So I think art is the same way. So just be aware that not everyone is going to be able to appreciate your art in the same way, and also that that's okay. Not everyone has to like your art, and also like the people who do like your art, even that opinion isn't as important as your opinion of your own work. So I hope that helps. Like, again, it's scary, but I definitely think it's worth sharing. I think art is meant to be shared, and so continue to share your art. We did it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for a little bit, and I hope you have gotten to know me a little bit more. Again, feel free to leave a comment down below with any other questions that you have, and make sure to subscribe and like the video as well. I hope that you'll stick around here, and I'll be back next week with another video. Have a good one.